Hello, and welcome to this episode of Retro Game Living Room. Today we're going to be doing a review on Super Blockbuster, a very rare game for one of my favorite underrated consoles, the Milton Bradley Microvision. So stick around. This is Super Blockbuster for the Milton Bradley Microvision. This is an import from Germany. We can see on the back that it differs from the Blockbuster game that is packed in with the Microvision, because instead of having 3 rows of blocks, it has 2 up top and it has 1 on bottom. And we'll talk about how that works in the gameplay as we go through this. Before we do that, what I want to do is compare this import game with a US game. So we can see that inside the box, instead of having styrofoam holders like we have on our US games, we have this nice felt tray for the game to sit in. If we look at the cartridges, the European versions have these really nice plastic buttons, and the US version, they all have these same plastic membranes, and you can see that these get worn heavily with use and get damaged, whereas these ones just don't. Also, we have a manual which has a stapled spine and is a flip-through style manual, which is different from our brochure style manuals that we have for US games. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put a 9-volt battery into my Microvision. This is a good PSA. I do this on camera just to remind people, if you're watching this, don't leave batteries in your retro game systems. You will regret it. Have the cartridge installed, switch the game on, press the button to the right, and the game automatically just goes. Don't even have a lot of time to really figure out the trajectory of the ball and how to block it. So I'm just moving the paddle back and forth. So you'll see that I have 2 blocks on top and blocks on the bottom. And if the ball passes the blocks on the bottom, that's okay. It just bounces against the wall there. And look, I cannot even do anything. And the ball will just keep going. So the objective of this game is actually not to let the ball pass through and hit your blocks on the bottom row. The objective is to clear the top row while preserving blocks. Preserve your game boxes. Preserve your retro game boxes. I'm a big proponent of that. No, but the objective here is to preserve your bottom blocks while destroying the top block. So I won, I get some points. And you'll see that as level 2 begins, I start off with the same amount of missing blocks from the bottom that I lost in the previous round. Now I've lost an additional one, so now I have only 3 from my bottom row remaining. This game really gets into these patterns where the ball just goes and goes and goes, and you have to try and interrupt it. If you hit the ball dead center, it'll go straight up. If you hit it with either the right or the left angle of the paddle, it'll go in the direction of, depending on which side of the paddle you hit it on. So if you hit on the right side of the paddle, the ball will go right. If you hit on the left side of the paddle, the ball will travel left. I always try and like to make a hole and get that ball bouncing around up top as much as I can before I intercede in it. Why this game was only released in Europe and never saw a US release when it was clearly done, I cannot tell you. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Got one block left. That won't do it. Now it's going to be forever stuck in this loop unless I interfere with it. Oops. I accidentally hit my last remaining block, and that's my last remaining bottom block, and that's game over. For final thoughts, Super Blockbuster is a really neat piece to have because of how rare it is. It's a unique take, maybe a little bit, on the Atari breakout formula. It looks really cool in your Milton Bradley Microvision, and it has cool buttons. Way cooler than the US version, but there's a lot cheaper imports if you just want to have an import. There's a lot cheaper games from Microvision to import. Super Blockbuster is the most expensive game. I've seen it sell between $50 and $150 in online auctions and in online sales. Get this if you really want to have a complete Microvision collection, if you're an enthusiast. Otherwise, the range of US games from Pinball, Blockbuster, and Sea-Duel are more than enough to keep you satisfied with your Milton Bradley Microvision collection. See you next time.